So let's take a legal deep dive into this case. Joining me now is criminal defense attorney Josh Kolsrud. All right, this trial delayed 19 times. 10 already is a lot. 19? That's pretty incredible. I mean, at what point do you think, okay, is the defendant, the defense team just taking advantage of the system?
Well, you know, when I was first looking at this issue, my feelings went out to the victims, having to watch a judge grant his continuances this many times in a row, over 5 years. Right. But we have to remember that there are two cases here. We have the armed robbery case and also the capital murder case. Mm-hmm. And let's not forget that Mercedes was the eyewitness in the armed robbery case. Mm-hmm. And she's no longer with us. She was murdered. So how is the prosecution going to prove that it was Cudjoe Young that committed the armed robbery? Well, ordinarily, you can't bring in a deceased person's statements because it's hearsay. Mm-hmm. But the Supreme Court has ruled that a defendant can't benefit by knocking off one of the witnesses. So the prosecution is going to have to prove to the judge by preponderance of the evidence that Mr. Young murdered Mercedes with the intention of silencing her. Mm-hmm. And don't forget that this case, the murder case, the capital murder case, is still open, meaning that the investigation has not ended yet. And so the prosecution may want to actually extend the armed robbery case to make sure that when they present this evidence before Judge Brain, that he's going to rule in their favor regarding the hearsay issue.
Okay, so, but Cudjoe Young, you know, he said that his attorney was unprofessional, right? His attorney clearly has denied that. I mean, when you're representing someone who thinks that you are unprofessional and wanted you out, doesn't that hurt him?
Well, public defenders have one of the toughest jobs in the legal profession. And unfortunately, this is something that's not abnormal. And, you know, I fully expect that this attorney will act with professionalism and will vigorously defend him. Now, you always want, if you're a defendant, a good relationship with your attorney. Sure. And so certainly this is going to affect that. But I wouldn't expect that this public defender isn't going to try as hard because of that conflict.
Right, they're going to do their job.
Yep.
All right, let's get to another big case here. The man accused of killing 2 Arcadia High School students will be arraigned tomorrow morning. Last week, 31-year-old Thomas Brown was indicted for the murders of Pandora Kolsrud and Evan Clark. The two were on a trip to Mount Ord back in May when they were found dead. Investigators allegedly found Brown's DNA inside their car. If convicted, Brown could be given a life sentence. All right, so the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, they haven't said a potential motive. As a former prosecutor, what do you think that motive would be?
Well, looking at this case, I have to tell you that, you know, motive isn't always the big vengeance or money or you know, the salacious sexual scenario. It can also be something small, something even more sinister. You know, here, you know, Mr. Brown, it's alleged that he was on the mountain alone, that he was enjoying his silence, that, you know, he had this illusion that he kind of controlled nature. And then here comes these loud young couple with music and dancing, you know, really showing him, you know, everything that he's lost. Mm-hmm. And he started saying on social media how annoyed he was by the campers nearby. Yeah. So that's telling us that that's his motive, that he knew of these campers. We know that he saw these campers. We know that he lied about his DNA being on the glove and also being in that area.
In the car, items found on the trail that belonged to the two.
Exactly. And this case is about his control. You know, he wanted to control the scenario. He, according to his own social media, was annoyed by the campers. I think that the prosecution really is going to jump on this.
Well, and I was going to say, is that enough? Is that enough evidence? You know, you've got the DNA, you've got the social media, the items found.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we know that there were 5 other campers in the area, but there's no allegation that they ever saw the 2 victims. And the only person that we know saw them is the one who he literally told the police that he was there. So he puts himself at the crime scene. And, you know, every murder, every crime really has 3 elements: motive, opportunity, and the ability to do the crime. And here we know that he did that. And his DNA is there, and he lied about it. And we have the motive because of what he posted on social media. So if I'm a prosecutor, I'm feeling pretty good about the case.
All right, Josh, great insight. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.